This is a new area for Lost. I personally became interested in these boards, riding small waves with my children and having to compete with longboarders, and even a small fat fish, sometimes it doesn't glide, it doesn't do what you need to do to ride longboard waves. So the idea behind this board is to do what's called a mid-length, and it's not a longboard, it's not a performance shortboard, and it's not a fish, it's a mid-length, and it's a genre of boards and a genre of design that Lost hasn't really been known for. But as I get older and I'm surfing with my young kids, it's a design element that intrigued me and it's interesting me now. So I'm having fun in designing these boards. So this board is, for me, looking at the Japanese market, is a really good board for aging surfers, aging Asian surfers, men, women, you know, people who want to catch waves, who want to make the wave, paddle around the lineup and not have too much fatigue. You don't get tired paddling this board. Once you stand up, you just point it and it glides, and it's easy to just make waves and ride them all the way to the end. You just stand there. You don't have to move around and spaz, you just smooth. And that's why it's called the Smooth Operator by Lost, and it's mid-length Mayhem. So this is our first mid-length design, truly inspired by classic carving, gliding, vintage lines. So the Smooth Operator, you know, we wanted to make it really pretty. We wanted it to not just ride well, but we wanted it to look well. So we've paired it with some really pastel, light tints, top and bottom, colors that just kind of blend in. They're not bold or brash or too in your face. They don't soak up a lot of heat. And with these tints, we've paired the board with a light blank and a tapered stringer. So the stringers start out at about 5-6 millimeters in the nose and taper down to 1 millimeter in the tail. So the thicker wood up in the entry gives a lot of drive. It's stiffer, and it, you know, when you're paddling and when you're driving off your front foot, it gives you inertia, momentum, and a little bit of weight along with the stiffness to drive the board, and you feel it go. And then as the board goes towards the tail, the stringer is continually tapering to the point where in the tail it's very thin and there's flex. So when you get on that back foot and you push, the board gives and it flexes a little, and it allows you to crank it into some turns. It is noticeable. We have a signature tint. It's a little hard to see in here, but it's a single layer, 4 ounce, the full deck, and then there's a 3/4 patch in this U shape around the logo. And that's so we save weight by not having too much glass up here, but the way the U shape is, even for duck diving, you're not squeezing the softer area. It gives you a good, firm, strong place for your hands to duck dive, and then obviously where you're standing, there's 2 layers of glass. We mimic the same sort of curve in the tail, so it's a U shape. So with 5 boxes, we don't want to have patch, 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 patch. So we just did 1 complete tail patch. We curved it very similar to the deck patch, and it looks cool. So there's function and fashion. The board is a fun hybrid. There's a lot of different ways you can ride it. You can set up the fins multiple ways. You know, you can ride it as a quad, which is how I kind of tend to like it, like a quad fin. You can kind of jam it and turn it and push it. It's still fairly loose with no center fin. You can ride it as a single fin, which is obviously the most classic way to ride it. Single fin, glide, kind of really free and easy, rail to rail, kind of loose. If you want to push harder and do more powerful bottom turns, you can, if you want to push harder, do harder bottom turns and come off the top more, you can add side bites to the single fin. It adds more power. You can surf this board this way in big waves. You could take this board on a surf trip. You can go to Indo, Maldivas, places like that, and surf, double overhead waves on this board, because the tail is narrow enough, and you put this kind of fin setup, you can handle. You can get in early, waves that might be scary or hard to catch, you can glide right in on this board, and then the tail pulled in with plenty of fin controls the board and controls the speed. There it is. Typical tri-fin. Top to bottom, performance style surfing. So there's many options. One board, many options. It depends on your mood. It's really fun. My daughter rides a quad. I like to ride a quad. I've ridden it as a thruster. Many ways to skin a cat. It's a really good board for the aging surfer. Maybe you only get to surf on the weekends. You're tired of the crowds. You're tired of fighting. You don't want to ride a longboard. You want to look good. A little bit of style. Small logos. Mellow. Doesn't say like, wah! It's just nice. Beautiful board. Handmade here in San Clemente, California.